back again. We are live. I am here today with the man, the myth, the legend. Brian, president of REA, is back on the show. Brian, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing well, thanks, Dustin. Good to be here.
I know it's crazy how, the last catalog auction was what, 3 or 4 months back, and time flies. It feels like it was just, yesterday you were back, you were here.
Yeah, we were in the dead of winter back then. Here we are looking at spring and summer already. So it's fun times. We like building these auctions though.
Have any more of the Baltimore News Babe Ruths just popped up? Did someone find like a shoebox with 50 of them in there or something?
No, thankfully they haven't. We'd love for one to pop up, but not 50.
Yeah, no kidding. It's incredible how much kind of amazingness fits into these auctions. It's not really that long. I can't imagine you get everything loaded up, you get everything shipped out. You're probably always working to get new consignments in. It's just not that long to get everything in, get it listed, pictures. I just don't know how you guys do it.
Yeah, for us, it's 100 days. We have 100 days between building these big catalog auctions, and we have the monthly encore auctions as well, where out 3,000, 3,500 lots. So it's a lot of work, but we have a lot of fun doing it. And there's always something cool on the other end of the phone or on the other side of an email.
It's kind of a curious question, but approximately, I'm just trying to get kind of a feel for how things were going back maybe like 5 years or 10 years. But has your overall workforce, as far as employees go, grown dramatically over the last 5 or 10 years, given obviously more and more people coming into sports memorabilia, sports cards? Or is it kind of a similar sized team, just it's always been fairly busy for you all?
No, we've definitely had to grow. Our REA team has tripled since 2020. And then we acquired Huggins and Scott last year. So we're up 4 times, almost 5 times where we were before COVID. And that's just what we need to crank out these auctions. We're processing 45,000 items a year. So a lot of hands, many hands make light work, right?
Yeah, I can't imagine too the shipping department and just having to deal, that has to be extremely stressful working with all the high end items, especially. I just can't imagine, I know you guys pack everything well and stuff, but I just can't imagine just having to take care of all the stuff.
Yeah, no, we've got a good team. We've got a good team top to bottom. There's a lot of responsibility, but it's got to be right. The client wants to get the right card at the right time.
That's it. All right, so we are going to start off. I don't know, is this considered the headlining item? I know you've got all sorts of different genres, but this is a very unique item for sure. And of course, we're talking about the 84 Jordan. Are these prototype sneakers, or this is before the famous ones? So you want to walk through these?
Yeah, so this is one of the items in the auction that we're most excited about. Everybody, thinks of Nike and Jordan and his trademark Jordan sneakers. And in '84, when he was a rookie, Jordan 1s started appearing on his feet in the fall. But before that, he wore Nike Airships. And if you're a sneakerhead or you're a basketball fan, you understand that these are very important and hugely significant. There's a very small window of time in which Jordan could have worn these shoes. So here we have a pair, 84 rookie season Bulls Nike Airship sneakers, and they come with just incredible, impeccable provenance. Our consignor was a ball boy for the Detroit Pistons, and he got these shoes from Jordan himself. He was working in the visitors' locker room, and we actually have 22 pairs of sneakers from all sorts of different 80s players: Isaiah Thomas, Dominique Wilkins, Sidney Moncrief, in this auction. So the Jordans are the biggest, the Jordans are the best, and just really a cool piece of history.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, there's about 12 days left on this auction overall. Is it staggered, this one, or is it mainly, it's 12 days mainly for everything?
12 days. Everything will end on Sunday, April 21st. And then the staggered part comes in at the end, where the lots will close, based on the level of activity that they have. Got it.
Okay. Wow. 135,000 is the current bid. I know you guys don't make any predictions, but is there any sort of, has the news, I think it's funny. I hear news people that will throw out all sorts of wild numbers on collectibles. Has anyone said anything that you're like, that's interesting? Like, oh, these are $1 million sneakers or anything like that?
Well, I mean, the interesting thing and the best comp that we can have, right? Everybody's looking towards comps when they're buying is
Yeah.
years ago, 2021, you had a pair of sneakers that were matched to Jordan's 5th game as a professional. And those Nike airships, just like these, and they sold for $1.47 million. So
Wow.
whether we'll be talking about a figure pair of sneakers again remains to be seen, but there's a tremendous amount of interest in these already. You see there's 8 bids there. People always lay in the weeds on these big items. So it'll be a fun 12 days.
Unreal. That's a huge item. I'm going to be watching that one for sure. Might have to do a watch party just to see where that goes. We're going to shift gears. I know a lot of, or I saw Orlando in the chat. This is right up his alley. Vintage baseball, 1954 tops, of course, the classic Hank Aaron rookie, but this one looks really nice in a PSA 9.
Yeah, this is among the best, if not the best, Hank Aaron rookies in PSA 9 that I've ever seen. Color, incredible. Centering, incredible. Very nice natural rough cut on a couple of the edges. 50th anniversary of Aaron breaking Ruth's record. Only 2 10s exist. I mean, this card's just got a lot going for it.
Yeah, tremendous card. And it says, yeah, it's one out of only 2 examples, or only 2 examples grade higher out of 6,800. There's 2 10s for this card?
If you can believe it, there are 2 10s.
Wow. Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah, this is a card that maybe, 20, 25 years ago when the 10s were likely graded could have competed for that gem mint status, in my opinion. Just a really, really good looking card.
Yeah. Wow. Hammer and Hank. That's a classic. Absolute classic. All right. Let's see what we have next on the docket here. All right. I'm just trying to move it around a little bit. This is a car. I actually have the Terry Bradshaw rookie in an SGC 6.5. You guys have a complete set of 71 tops football.
Yeah, I mean, these are very tough to get in high grade. If you've got one yourself, the colored borders on these, they chip pretty easily. This set is an 8.11 GPA. That means most, if not all, of the cards are 8s, 8.5s, and 9s. And this is actually one of about 15, 16 different high-grade registry sets that we have in the auction, from 1948 Leaf all the way through 1978 Topps football. We've got registry sets from all the sports, but there's a particular concentration in high-end football. So 71 is a great set. You've got Bradshaw, you've got Joe Green, classic cards there, Unitas and Star and Sayers. So just really good looking cards.
Yeah, this is incredible. How often do you guys get kind of these PSA set registry, complete sets where now this is somebody that has the set that's on the registry and they're just looking to move off of it?
Yeah, I mean, every auction we get some registry sets. I think this auction has a particularly high number of sets for one reason or another. But the market for registry sets has been very strong lately. Nobody is submitting commons the way that they used to in the past when you could grade cards for $5 and $6. So there's a real premium placed on just getting it done and upgrading from there. We've got number 1 sets. We've got a bunch of top 10 sets in this auction. So really compelling options for collectors.
Yeah. Speaking of classic vintage football, a card that I want. The tall boy is such a beast to get in a high grade too. In a 7.5, you've got a Namath here, current bid at $72.50. Joe Namath rookie.
Yeah, and what jumps out to me on that one right away is the yellow, the color. I mean, these cards can be found with all sorts of printing flaws, fish eyes. This one's very clean and it's crisp, it's well centered. It's sitting a little low in the holder, but the centering is really strong. So just a good looking example here at a 7.5.
What do you say to people because I think it's kind of funny. Obviously, it's more of a passing league in the NFL these days, but I'll hear kind of newer generations when they talk about Namath, and even just not even necessarily just Namath, but Namath didn't have the stats that today's players. I mean, Matthew Stafford would probably have better stats than a Joe Namath, but just the importance that these guys, especially kind of Broadway Joe, had on the overall league and just kind of helping it to ascend, to where it is today.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been a stat head, like a WAR guy in baseball or whatever the equivalent is in football and basketball. But Namath was the first to pass for 4,000 yards in a season. That is not insignificant. Obviously, led the Jets to the championship, had a lot of swagger about him. And I think at the time that he played, he was a very big deal and very influential to his team and to the league. So I think that that's how you have to measure these guys. The game changes. There's a lot of guys that played ball in the 19th century and the early 20th century in baseball that wouldn't sniff the Hall of Fame today, but they were just different times.
Yeah, you think, Otto Graham's also got 7 titles, but no one talks about him. And I've got an Otto Graham rookie, and I love that card because it's 50 Bowman and it's just classic, but just nobody talks about Otto Graham. Nobody talks about him. And now you got like this guy who, of course, thanks to those guys, we've got, a guy like this.
Yeah, right. Well, here's somebody that everybody talks about, and everybody likes to benchmark, Mahomes against him or whoever. But Brady, I mean, Brady's the guy. He's who I grew up watching. He's very significant. I think his stats and record obviously speak for themselves. And when it comes to his rookie cards, this Bowman Chrome is a classic. I mean, the refractor is a very tough, nice variation to get. I mean, a lot of people, myself included, just have the base card, but yeah. I've always liked the look of this card. I think it's a really good looking card. And this 9, if you go over it with the magnifier, it's all there. I mean, there's no chipping, there's no PD. Centering's very strong. So yeah, I like this example a lot.
Yeah, you wonder kind of what dinged this. Why wasn't this a 10? I mean, it does look. I looked at this one earlier before we came on. I mean, maybe this thing right here underneath that little surface, but I can't tell if that's on the case or not. But
yeah, I was going to say, sometimes it's hard. These foil cards and these refractors can sometimes make flaws on the plastic holder look worse than they are. So, just a good looking card.
Yeah, the Brady, that refractor. Do we have any idea of how? And I haven't checked the pop on that lately. I want to just have a Bowman Chrome copy, like you said, kind of that base. Do we have any idea kind of print run on the refractor?
I don't know off the top of my head.
It's not numbered, obviously, but
no, I don't know.
Because that refractor, man, the price differential on that one is big. It's extreme,
significant. Yeah,
yeah.
But I mean, I think it's a card that will have staying power. I mean, I think Brady's not going anywhere, obviously, and you don't have to convince anybody how good he is, but I think it's a card that you'll look back on and say, okay, like this was the one to get.
Right. Exactly. All right, baseball fans, we're switching over for you. We're going to some sports memorabilia now. Al Kaline game-used home jersey. Tell us about this one.
This one's pretty cool. This is entirely fresh to the hobby. It comes to us from the family of a scout that worked in the Tigers organization. Dates to 68, which was a championship year for the Tigers. It's really just beautiful. I mean, you're going over it here with the magnifier. It's clean. It's got good use, but not overwhelming. I mean, it's in top condition. It's been authenticated by SGC and Dave Grobe. And it's entirely fresh, which collectors really like. The game used segment has really caught on a lot lately. It's a drum that we've been beating for a long time.
I was going to say it's not new by any stretch, but interest has definitely grown.
Yeah, so it's the part of the hobby that I think people are really coming around to, and as they see what rookie cards are going for, and they see how many Kaline cards are out there, but how few jerseys are out there. It's compelling. Kaline, huge importance to the Tigers. First player to have his number retired for the team. Hall of Famer, 3,000 hits. Just really an iconic player for that organization.
Do you have any idea if there, how many of these buyers, and it might be none, it might just be completely collectors, but, the first thing I thought of when I just looked at this jersey was, what if a manufacturer bought this, cut it up into 1,000 pieces and put it into a card? It would be a nice card to have. What have you seen more of that sort of a thing where you have kind of, and I guess maybe you might not even know if the buyer is from just a company. It might not necessarily be from Panini or wherever, whichever company it is. But is that a thing?
Yeah, I mean they have to get made somehow. So I mean my preference, selfishly, personally, is that these pieces stay intact. I like
Yeah,
them.
totally.
I like them that way. But that being said, there's a segment of the population of collectors that prefer the game used cards and the relics and the inserts, and that's the only way that they can collect. So there's room for everybody. You're going to get disagreement on both sides of the fence, of course. But if it were up to me, I'd keep it as it is.
Check this out. I was looking at this earlier too, and man, this is just really, really nice how this is held up. I mean, if you look at the inscription and just the signature on this baseball, I'm no baseball, vintage signed baseball expert, but this one is beautiful.
Yeah, I mean the headline there speaks for itself. I mean we've called it exceptional, and PSA has called it a gem mint 10, and those two things right there kind of need no explanation. But this dates obviously late in Ruth's life. He died in 1948. It's inscribed on Christmas Day, his last Christmas, personalized 10 signature, big bold signature. Just a really, really special baseball. And it's one of, I think, 10 Ruth balls that we have in this auction. We've got this one from the later part of his life. We've got a 1920 ball that's graded with a 9 signature from 1920, his first year with the Yankees. So there's really something for everybody.
How many of these pieces are coming out? I mean, how many of these do you see where it's somebody that's buying and maybe reselling it a couple years later? And then how many are kind of new ones that come out and are found or out of just collections that have been a collection for 20 years? I guess what I'm wondering is, are there, flippers of signed baseballs, here over the last few years, or is it more of just, they go deep into collections, then eventually they come out at some point?
Yeah, it's a combination of everything, frankly. I mean, it's getting tougher and tougher to flip pieces because the information that everybody has is so much better and more easily found than it was 5 and 10 years ago. That's not to say that you can't find diamonds in the rough, but a lot of what we get is mostly old time collections or fresh to the hobby stuff. There will be stuff that you'll recognize from auction to auction, or you saw it somewhere else. But our specialty has always been kind of that fresh, or haven't been seen in a long time item.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now I see a lot of Jim Brown rookie cards around, especially you go to the National, some of these big shows, but an 8, this is a nice 8. Tell us about the old PSA 8 Jim Brown rookie, Jimmy Brown.
Yeah, so I mean, classic football card. Another one where registration is often an issue. This one's pretty nice. You see, just in the bottom there, a little bit of the shift on the black and yellow plate, but huge fisheye problem with this card, huge PD problem with this card, and this one is pretty clean. So centering is what it is. The corners are very sharp. That's going to appeal to a different type of collector potentially. But when it comes to classic card, this is a pretty good looking example.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better than this for vintage football card collectors. Yeah, I mean, Jim Brown, unreal, and an 8. And I think there's no 10s of the Jim Brown rookie card. Is that right? Or are there a couple of them? I'm trying to remember offhand. Maybe I know that there's only a few 9s.
I was going to say, off the top of my head, the last I remember were that there were about 6 PSA 9s, 7 PSA 9s maybe. I don't think there's a 10, but
I don't think so either.
I'm not positive on that.
Okay. All right, this one was interesting. So the 1863 Grand Match at Hoboken benefit card of Harry Wright. Tell us about Harry Wright.
Well, I mean, for anybody that doesn't recognize the name, Harry Wright, hugely influential to the earliest days of baseball. Player, manager, executive, just really had it all going on back in the 1860s and 70s and 80s. In 1863, in Hoboken, New Jersey, there was a match of cricket with an exhibition baseball game at the same time. And
okay.
These cards, so what he's holding there is, an early cricket baseball bat and ball. But these cards were produced as commemorative cards, tickets. There's still some discussion as to what their true purpose was, but we've seen them with George Wright, who was his brother, Harry Wright. The combination of the two of them, they're just rare, and this one's entirely new. Hoboken, for anybody that doesn't recognize it, is also very significant to the game of baseball. Going back to the 1840s, 1846 was the first record of the game in Hoboken. So yeah, really, really special, and over 160 years old too. So kind of wild that it even exists.
The father of professional baseball, in honor of his role as organizer manager of the 1869 Red Stockings. Okay. So it really kind of the beginnings of pro baseball.
Yeah.
Is what he represents. That's wild. So how often have you ever seen this particular card before, or is this this first time at REA?
I have never seen that card before. I have seen similar cards featuring members of the Wright family and other players from the team, holding these cricket paddles. But I've not seen this one where Harry's by himself.
That's a really interesting one. I love that. So yeah, for people that are watching or going to watch, you just have to dig through these auctions, because there's so many unique cards like that one where you can really kind of learn a lot about just history of sports. All right. So this one also jumped out to me when I was looking at it. Clearly it's made in, is it a Japanese card?
Yeah, it's a Japanese issue here. 1958, Jackie Robinson. Menko is the term for cards made and issued in Japan. And this one is very tough to find. I mean, we've seen them. They're not impossible, but they're highly desirable. Great image of Jackie. And this one, as you can see, it's only a 3.5, but it's up over 30, I think 32 or 33,000 I saw was the last bid. So just a very cool card, entirely in Japanese.
Wild.
Yeah.
I'll ask this one too. Do you guys get these quite a bit, or is this another one where it just doesn't really pop up? I mean,
this particular example of Jackie is not one that we get very frequently. This might be the first that we've offered in a little bit. We do get Menko cards from time to time. We do sell Sadahara O cards from time to time. There's some sets from the 60s and 50s that we've sold in auctions. But, like you said, just digging through these auctions can be hugely educational, right? You don't have to come to bid. You don't have to come to buy. You can just come and learn. And if you're a modern collector, there's a tremendous amount of vintage out there that you can learn about. And if you're a vintage collector, the modern world is pretty fascinating too. It's something that I've learned about myself in the past 5 and 10 years as I've been doing that. So it's just fun to dig through.
So another segment of the hobby that has completely blown up would be photographs. Photographs have become a thing. Although, is this a phonograph or is this a photograph, or what are we calling this?
Yeah. So this is a promotional card, a premium card made by a phonograph company. So in 1920, which was Ruth's first year with the Yankees, he did a promotion with this phonograph company, Path Freres. We've heard it multiple different ways. But this is really cool. I mean, he's got his Yankee pinstripes on. He's there posing. It's a big card, maybe 8 by 10-ish are the dimensions, just for frame of reference here for anybody who's not familiar with it. And he's young. I mean, you're zoomed in on his face there. He's about 24, 25 years old here. So this is a card. Yeah, this is a card that we do not get frequently at all. This is a card that the last time we sold one might have been 5 years ago. So really a very special, very significant card.
Do you find that there are phonograph type card collectors, or do you think this is more of a Babe Ruth collector that really just collects Babe Ruth items that are unique?
Yeah, this is, I mean, I believe that this will go to a Babe Ruth collector. If you want every Babe Ruth card that's been ever made,
oh, okay, yeah,
you need this. This is on your list. There are guys that collect just dating to 1920 when he started with the Yankees. There are guys that collect everything while he was with the Yankees. So there's a lot of different ways to collect, which makes it fun.
Well, we're going to completely shift gears and throw in an ultra modern football card. The best player in football. I hate to say that, but I've got buddies that are Chiefs fans that are just living their best life right now. But you guys have a monster Mahomes card here.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the Brady earlier and kind of that Bowman Chrome emerging as a very popular rookie card. And this Panini National Treasures, when it comes to Mahomes is going down as one of his significant rookie cards. This is numbered to 15. It's the green foil variation. It's got a perfect 10 signature. This is very significant. It's got a nice 3-color patch. So there's a lot going on with this card, and I think long term this will be one to hold. I don't see Mahomes stock going down.
Yeah, Mahomes. Well, do you think that they're going to three-peat? What's your thoughts on the three-peat? I just want anybody but the Chiefs. That's where I'm at next year.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't have a strong enough rooting interest. I didn't grow up in a football household.
Okay.
Didn't go to a college that had football. I just like to see good games, and the Chiefs are fun to watch. So if they three-peat, so be it. It's tough, though. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, speaking of tough, finding this card in a 10 is extremely tough. What are there, 20 or 21 of these? It's very low.
21. Somebody said this earlier, and I agree with it. I haven't independently verified it, but the toughest gem rate of a modern rookie card, a Hall of Fame rookie card, 21 of them in 10. I think that's less than 1% that have ever been evaluated by PSA, significantly less than 1%. They've graded 22,000, 23,000 of these cards. So it's just, the foil, where we're zooming in on this here, these scratch, these blemish so easily. And this one's really sharp.
Yeah, it's just, and you kind of wonder, I mean, because they've graded a ton of these, not really a rare card, a lot of 9s, but man, just you kind of wonder how many 10s are going to be left out there. I don't know. And I guess that's what demands such a huge premium.
Yeah, well, that's just it. The price differential between a 9 and a 10 is pretty significant. But this one's actually the first one that's come up for sale in about 15 or 16 months at auction. So it'll be interesting to see. It's already exceeded what it sold for 15 or 16 months ago. So it'll be fun to watch over the next 12 days.
Yeah, it just shows you, because if you go back 15, 16 months ago, prices on a lot of things were higher. But of course, that being just such a rare card, it's kind of like, hey, if they just don't pop up, then pricing can really move on them.
Yeah, and that's so just to interject there, that's what people ask us all the time. What's the market doing? And what do you think about prices going down? And, the stuff that is truly rare, the stuff that's really hard to find, the stuff that just doesn't come up, collectors know that they need to pounce when given the opportunity. And that's the stuff that just continues to set records.
I mentioned before we came on to Brian, I'm actually in the market close to obtaining this card. Not this one. I wish in a 7. I'm more in kind of that 5 range, but the Jordan Star rookie card, the real rookie card here. There's a controversial statement I'll just throw out there, but you guys, have a nice 7 here. I was just looking at it. One thing that I've noticed with the crossovers on these is I think a lot of people thought that the BGS 8s and the 8.5s, they were all going to cross over to, BGS 9s are all going to cross over to PSA 9s. And it's actually been very different. It's been more of like they're crossing, like 9s crossing to 7s and sort of that sort of thing. But I love this card. I love a scarce 80s Jordan card.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's totally different than the Fleer image, but I like it. And I've always liked the Star cards. I'm happy to see that PSA is grading them. I thought for a long time that the Star cards were being done a disservice by, the grading companies not fully embracing them. So it's nice to get them in this PSA 7 condition. And this one, you can see, I mean, it's already 29 bids. It's up there on most viewed, most favorited, most bid on items already.
Yeah. The one thing about this one, I'm just looking at it. I mean, the top to bottom centering on these is usually awful. And meaning typically you have very little room down there where like guard and Chicago Bulls. It's just, I don't know how they were all cut. It seems like they were right at where it's guard, Chicago Bulls. Yeah. And this one looks really good in comparison to a lot of the ones that I've seen.
Yeah. And, the color, again, similar to 86 Fleer, very, very tough red border, chips easily. This one's pretty nice.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. We are almost to the end of the list. I can't believe it. All right, hold on a second though. There's some other things that I want to pull up that we are not missing on. Am I lying? Have we gone through everything? I thought maybe we hit on everything. Wait. Yeah, maybe we hit on everything. Okay. Man, time flies when you're looking at REA auction items. Brian, here's the other thing, though, I wanted to hit on, because I think we always look at the amazing stuff, a lot of the amazing stuff, but I know REA has items at all price points. So I want to kind of talk about that a little bit, because some people might be watching like, I'm not going to buy a $1 million item, but you guys have all sorts of things.
Yeah, well, that's just it. I mean, we focused on a lot of very rare and very special pieces, but the truth of the matter is that this auction has over 3,700 items in it, and the lowest starting bid in the auction is $50. So you don't have to have 6 figures. You don't have to have 7 figures to participate. You can walk away as a winner at a couple $100. And if you don't find anything in this auction, every month we have auctions that start at $10. So there's really something for everybody. We publish a 600+ page catalog. You can just go to our website and request one. I'm looking at it here. It's gigantic. And you will have a lot of fun just looking at these items. So for people that haven't heard of us, or for people who haven't had the exposure to vintage, which we're known for, I mean, you're going to see modern cards for sure. It's probably a worthwhile experience to just check this out.
One thing I did find, we did miss this Lou Gehrig signed card. So I want to touch on this too, because this has been such a huge thing that's changed that I've noticed. I know you have too over the last few years, are these vintage signed cards. I remember at this past national in Chicago, there was just so much of it that I'd never seen before. It seems like it's coming out of collections everywhere, but this is also one of those just major items that I wanted to mention.
Yeah, and so this, you asked earlier how items come to market. This is a card that had been buried in a collection for a long time. You can see PSA doesn't even do the blue labels anymore, but it is a beautiful 1933 Gehrig, signed right across the center there. PSA's graded the signature a 9. We've never seen or heard of a 10 on a signed Goudy Gehrig. This is, to the best of our knowledge, the highest graded example. The card is beautiful itself. It's not graded, but we think it's a solid VG example. Good centering, consistent color, good corner, even rounding to the corners. And signatures on cards used to be blasphemous. People used to just knock you if you pulled out a rookie card to get signed, but it has emerged as a very significant, growing, highly appreciated part of the hobby. And this card, we've got a signed 51 Bowman mantle in the same auction that also has a 9 signature. I mean, these cards are a sight to behold.
Yeah. Are you seeing, or I think, so a question, I guess, seeing these items come out of the woodwork, so to speak, do you think that it's because we kind of what you had mentioned, we've just had more information now, there's more, it's not like when we were kids, all you knew was just what was at your local shop. There wasn't an internet to check, and so do you think that some of that stuff, people, I guess collectors looking for more unique vintage items, because those cards are already awesome. But if you're kind of one of those big, kind of more of a high-end collector, when you see that, you're like, oh, that's a differentiator, the autograph.
Yeah, I mean, I think these collectors understand now, because we can consume social medias everywhere. People like yourself who are reaching just tons of people on a daily basis through YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, whatever the case may be. I mean, we're just exposed to so much more. And so when you see something like the Gehrig or this mantle that we're looking at, you're going to think to yourself, wow, I haven't seen that before, or it's been a really long time since I've seen it with something like the Jeter card. And that's the stuff that gets people excited. And that's the stuff that we love having in the auctions. There's a lot of bread and butter cards, but some of these items like the Jordan shoes and these signed cards and that we talked about that just don't come around all that often. That's what we live for.
Yeah. And it seems now too, you're seeing kind of more of like the Topps Fanatics, the Paninis of the world. It's kind of like, because I think what's kind of unique about these types of items is it all happened organically. The provenance of the item. Somebody was at a card show and however long ago, and was the weirdo that got a card signed instead of the baseball bat or the glove or whatever. But now you have companies that are kind of trying to create that. Of course, we've got kind of the mass-produced scarcity type stuff, but it still works in its own way for modern and ultra modern. But it's just funny to me. It's just interesting just how, these items all work together. It feels like it's cool.
Yeah. And this signed Mantle rookie card's one of 3 that I can remember handling in recent memory. And we might have at right now 100 plus Mantle autographs in our office. So, he's not a tough signature, but when you look at the medium, it's pretty special.
Unbelievable. Orlando wants to ask before we let you go, Brian, are you guys going to be at the Strongsville show accepting consignments?
We will not be set up there, but if you have anything and you're in the area, just shoot me an email, shoot REA an email, robertedwardauctions.com. We'll figure out a way to get it from you. I love the Strongsville show. Went there many years ago. I think it's a great, show in the center of the country, but we unfortunately won't be there this one.
Good deal. All right. Well, Brian, thank you as always for coming on. It's always a good time hanging out. I like to just look through all the magic that you guys have. And it's not even just the catalog auctions, guys. Keep an eye out too for the monthly auctions. There's all sorts of gems on a monthly basis at REA. So make sure to check it out. Any parting words, Brian, before we go?
No, just I'll drop the website again. So it's robertedwardauctions.com. You can go there. You can browse. You can sign up to bid. You can request a catalog. And the auction ends Sunday, April 21st. So 3,700 plus items. Lot of eye candy.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, thanks very much for joining us. We will see you next time. Take care.